Welcome back into KSL News Radio and KSLSports.com. BYU closing out the regular season against the Houston Cougars. Fourth meeting all time in the All-Cougar matchup. And two programs, they've never faced off as conference foes, and that changes on Saturday night at 8:15 here on KSL. And joining me to get an insider look at the Houston Cougars is Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle. Joseph, how you doing today?
Good, Mitch. Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing good. Always good to chat with you. Whenever I talk to you, I think of Las Colinas, 4 seasons, Big 12 business meetings, and now to think these two programs finally meeting on the field together.
Yeah, we did the pre-work a few years ago with the schools waiting to get in, but now that they're in, the check hasn't cleared completely, full revenue. But yeah, it's been an interesting last, 3.5 years? Yeah,
it has been an interesting ride. And for Houston, I'm sure the on-field product has not been what they desired for this football program. But 4-7 right now, first year with Willie Fritz. I know they've had some staff changes. We'll get to that. But how would you assess this first year under Coach Fritz?
Well, it's not completely surprising. I think a lot of people thought that this would be a rebuilding year, or at least a year that would take the new staff and Willie Fritz some time to get things in order. I saw most projections for the season of 4 wins, so they've sort of met that. But at the same time, you look at some of the games that if they would have just had some offense going, which has been their Achilles, they could be at 5 or 6 wins right now, which would have been huge for them in a bowl game. But there's certainly been some growing pains and some things to work out for Willie Fritz in year one.
Fritz lets go of his offensive coordinator, and now Sean Bell's the interim OC. Do you expect any sort of wrinkles, Joseph, with this Houston offense now that there's an interim OC, or is it pretty much kind of is what it is at this point?
Well, I mean, you can call every play you want, but if you don't have the players to execute, doesn't do you any good. And I think that's kind of partly where they're at. They haven't had they've had a lot of inconsistency. The quarterback issues. Just don't have a lot of talent in terms of the skill positions. Where it's just going to take a while. But Sean Bell, he's former college quarterback at Baylor. I think you could probably see him throw in a few wrinkles. I mean, why not? I mean, if this was an audition for one game and a chance to see, hey, maybe we should have done this at some point in the year, I expect they'll do it because, Willie Fritz said this week, this is their not Super Bowl, their bowl game. Might as well be their Super Bowl, but it is their bowl game, and they want to come out and, try to put on a one final performance that maybe they can pull off an upset.
Talk with Joseph Duarte of the Houston Chronicle. You can check out his bylines at theHoustonChronicle.com. He covers the Big 12 and Houston Cougars. And I'm curious, what do you feel is the strength of this team? Maybe a certain position group that you feel is like you can count on them every single week with this Houston squad.
Without question, defense. I mean, this is a top 25, top 30 defense for most of the year. They're the reason they've stayed in games. They're the reason that they got points in the end zone last week against Baylor. I mean, they've kept the Cougars in the game, the Red Cougars in the game, and they kind of waited for help that never arrived, and that's the sad part. I mean, they've had some really good performances this year, and if they can get 1 or 2 touchdowns in the end zone, it's a different story. But on top of defense, I like the secondary. I think the secondary has been really consistent for the most part this year. They don't give up a lot of big plays. But then you can say that for, the D-line's also done a good job stopping the run. And then, they got 2 talented linebackers with Jamal Morris and Michael Batten. So I think as a whole, if you look at what went on in the offseason and what they loaded up with in the transfer portal, this was the unit that underwent a complete makeover, and, it really shows.
Do you expect – this is tough to kind of forecast, but do you think this team will have a lot of effort in this one despite, being a game that doesn't have much on the line? But do you expect them to kind of treat it like a bowl game and go all out and give it the best effort possible?
Absolutely. I think this is maybe a tone setter for next year. And, they're going to lose some key players. But I think overall, this is a team that they haven't given up. We've shown no indication or seen no indication that this team is thrown in the towel. So I really do think that they're going to try to keep this one close and roll the dice and see what happens.
Last couple things here for you, Joseph. What is the kind of the key things for Houston football in the future to build it up and get back to being a program that's not only going to bowls but contending in the upper tier of the Big 12? What do you think is the next moves for the program?
Well, they've got an indoor facility that's opening up. It's a football headquarters that'll open up in the summer. It's $140+ million. That's going to be huge for them. That's going to get things rolling. And I think just the as it is with everything now with money, the NIL, and they've got to improve that. And then I think also the excuse me, I'm kind of on mobile, but NIL money, and then they also have to get that full share revenue in the Big 12.
Well, Joseph, we appreciate the time. You can follow him on X at Joseph_Duarte. And again, read his bylines at the Houston Chronicle. He covers the Big 12 and Houston. Will you be making the trip out to Provo this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be there with my parka on.
It's going to get cold, so bundle up. It will be cold. At least it's closed air. It's not open air box, but it'll be closed. So looking forward to it, Joseph, and we'll talk again down the road.
Thank you, Mitch.